Welcome back everyone to a screencast on decimals, multiplying and dividing. We hopefully have already done adding, subtracting, but you can do these ones in any order. What I would say is we're going to use the lattice method when we're multiplying today. We're going to use the bus stop method when we're dividing. So therefore, if you haven't watched those screencasts and you don't know how to do the bus stop or you don't know how to do the lattice, I'd highly recommend you getting over it and watching those beforehand. I know it's more painful, but there you go. It is what it is, everyone. It is what it is. So what is a decimal? Decimal numbers is a way of writing numbers that are not whole. Decimal numbers are in between numbers. For example, 10.4 is in between 10 and 11. It's more than 10 but less than 11. We use lots of decimals every day by our money. We have pounds, we have pennies, we have dollars, we have cents, wherever you come from in the world. You have money, and money is the best form that we use all the time, where we often come into decimals. So we're going to use a little bit of that knowledge today. Now here's the example questions. I'm going to set them out for you so they're nice and easy for you to do, and we're going to start with the lattice method, and we're going to start with putting 102 timesing by 4.8 on the side. Now what I would say is, if you don't want to use the lattice method, and hopefully all my classes are, then you can use any other method. You just have to treat it as 102 timesing by 48. Forget about the decimal place and put that into your answer. We'll go over that after we do the lattice method. So now very simply, I've got 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 1 is 4, 8 times 2 is 16, 8 times 0 is 0 or 0, 8 times 1 is 8. I collect all my numbers up. So I've got 6 here, so I put 6. I've got 8 and 9, that's 9 there. I've just got 8 in this one, and I've got 4 in this one. Now, I'm going to put the decimal place in, and I'm going to show you how it works in the lattice method. Can we see it just rolls down, and when it hits one of these bottom sort of sliders, if you want to call it, or dividers, it'll go in there. So when I write my answer, I'll write my answer as 489.6. Now you'll notice in the question there is only one number after the decimal place. In my answer, there will only be one number after the decimal place. And that's how we do these decimals. Very simply, take away the decimal, forget about it, work it out as if it didn't exist, and then put it in at the end. But we've got to remember to put it in. So often, sometimes I try and put the decimal in before I actually start answering the question, but hopefully you won't forget. Okay, now it's time for the bus stop method. Now, our issue here is the number that we are dividing by. So we've got 12 divided by 0.3. We want that number to be a nice whole number. And we can do that by multiplying that number by 10. So I multiply that number by 10, I get 3. So if I do that to that, I need to do it to the other bit as well, which is 12. So I'm going to times that by 12 also. So I'll times that by 10 also. And I'll be left with 120 divided by 3, won't I? Hopefully that makes perfect sense to you. I'm now going to put that in the bus stop method, and I'm going to work that through. So here we go. We've got how many 3s go into 1? They don't. Now, lots of people put a 0 there and they carry over the 1. I don't do that. I just, in my head, do it. You know, I go, oh, it doesn't work, so I will make it this now a 12. How many 3s go into 12? That'd be 4. How many 3s go into 120? Well, we'd know that should be 40. So my answer there is 40. Now, if you want to check whether this is correct, some people go, well, it can't be correct. You've changed it. Because I've changed it by the same value, it is still correct. So 12 divided by 0.3 is 40. Doesn't that seem funny, doesn't it? But when you're working with less than 1, often your answer was, well, your answers will get bigger. And that was what confuses people with decimals. But the answer is 40. Trust me on this. If you wanted to get your calculator and give it a go yourself. Okay, over to you now. So now it's over to you. You're going to do these ones on your own. They are a little bit more tricky, but I'm sure you can handle it. Give it a go, come back and see if you've got it right. So first step, remember we're putting in 253, and we're going to put a point in there as well, so it's 2.53. We're going to times it by 12 on the side. Over on the other question, we're going to go for we're going to times this one by 1,000 because we've got to times 0.002 by 1,000 to make it into 2, don't we? And we're going to have 8,000 divided by 2. Seems ridiculous, but that is how you do it. We'd input that into the bus stop method, and then we'd go from there. But I'm going to do the multiplication first. So I've got 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 5 is 5. And 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 5 is 10. And 2 times 2 is 4. I always give the answer before I finish. Let's collect all these numbers up now. I've got 6 here. I've got 3 plus 0 plus 0, that's 3. I've got 0 plus 5 plus 1 plus 4. That gives us 10. So look, I carry over there. Got 1 plus 2 is 3. Now, what I'm going to do is this is going to drop. Now, some people say, why doesn't it drop down here? Well, it drops straight down until it gets to the bottom, and it will go there. And if we look at our answer, which is 30.36, look how many numbers I've got after the decimal place in my question. Look how many numbers I've got after the decimal place in my answer. They match, don't they? Okay, so how many 2's go into 8? 4 do, and that means that I would have 4,000. So my answer being 4,000 there. And again, if you want to grab your calculator and work that out, 8 divided by 0.002 does give you 4,000. So before we move into the quiz, it's time to do the last one. These are our Everest. This is our most difficult when we come to multiplying here. Give it a go. Come back and see if you got it right. With this one, I'll give you a little tip. This is already a whole number. So please think about that before you answer. Come back and see if you've got them correct. So here we go. First step is to put all of that information in. So I've got 32.3 timesing by 1.2. I'm going to go over and do the division now. So first step would have been just to do it as it is because we don't need to change it. Okay? We've got 12.5 divided by 5. And look, I've already put my decimal place in my answer just to make sure I don't muck it up. Let's go and do the multiplication first. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Collect all these numbers up. So I've got 6 in this column. I've got 7 in this column. I've got 8 here, and I've got 3 there. Now, this is really interesting because I'm going to roll this one down, and I'm going to roll this one across. And where they hit, they're going to go down. Remember, we've done a bus stop method one if that makes no sense. So I've got 38.76. And look again, in my answer, I've got 2 numbers after decimal place. In my question, I've got 2 numbers after decimal place. And it works. Well done. Now we've got how many 5s go into 1? Well, they don't. But how many 5s go into 12? Okay, so 2 go into 12 because 2 times 5 is 10, but I've got 2 remainder. How many 5s go into 25? Well, that's a 5. So my answer would be 2.5. And that is it. It is now time for you to enjoy the quiz. And I hope that you're getting here and thinking, I know exactly what I'm going to do. Look back at those notes as you do it, but I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. And come back and see if you've got them bob on. Here we go. Answers coming up. Hopefully lots of ticks, hopefully 6 ticks. You may have made a little error here and there, but on the whole, as long as you know what you're doing, the more you'll do, the better you'll get. The better you get, the more confident you are, and the happier you are, and the more happy you are, you just get really great results. As always, if you've done well, write a revision card. If you haven't done so well, you know what you need to do. Go back and watch the video again. But until next time, it's always a pleasure helping you guys and girls out there with your maths. Any comments will be greatly received below. All the best until next time.